All right, guys. A little bit late today, but good morning. Hope you guys are doing good. A lot of stuff going on in markets, man. Markets are breaking highs. All right, guys. A little bit late today, but good morning. Let me get everything rolling here. Hold on. Palantir had earnings yesterday. Palantir now up to 170s after coming in over $1 billion in revenue. They're looking pretty solid right now. Yeah, market's still digesting the weak jobs data and higher chance of rate cut in September. September rate cut is now sitting at like 88 to 94%. Mary Daly cited inflation easing and labor softening and reinforcing dovish expectations. The president threatens to impose higher tariffs on Indian imports due to Russian oil buys, stirring anxiety this morning as well. The trade ceasefire with China is set to expire on August 12th, which is next Tuesday in exactly a week from now. And the European Union is also preparing for disruption despite a 15% tariff framework. Again, the big news yesterday and over the weekend was that the president fired the Bureau of Labor Statistics head following the labor report, and Fed Governor Adriana Kugler resigned, which kind of brought more concerns regarding political influence, credibility, and stuff like that. In terms of earnings this morning, I know we have AMD earnings this evening, but in terms of earnings this morning, we have, let me see. I know we have some. We have Pfizer, Caterpillar out already. Pfizer BDPS came in at 78-cent EPS versus 58 cents expected. So Pfizer BDPS beat revenue. Caterpillar missed EPS and beat revenue. So mixed results for Caterpillar. We also have BP. BP missed revenue but BDPS margins. Duke Energy, Galaxy Digital, Lemonade, BDPS beat margins, beat revenue. And again, Palantir, the big story. Bring this over here. Up Sam, each Gowser. And we also have the import-export data today. We got the trade balance data going live at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. So again, futures are up, Dow's up, Nasdaq's up, S&P's up. Treasury yields are down still. If we look at the 10-year Treasury, 4.28%, 4.21% is really what I'm showing here. 4.216%. They're up a little bit over the day, though, actually, but down overall over the last 3 or 4 days on the weaker labor report, showing weaker stuff. But we're actually slightly elevated today. We closed here. We're up to 4.21%, so up a small part of a percent. Yeah, Palantir up 5% pre-market after beating Q2 expectations, 50% revenue growth, over $1 billion in revenue, and raised guidance. So that's going to be a big story in finance today, is Palantir. We also had HIMS and HERS. It's down almost 13% after a miss and weak outlook. If you look at HIMS here, it's down pretty significantly for HIMS. It's at $56 a share, $55.50 a share. Inspire Medical Systems went down 25%. So if you look at Inspire, INSP, You can see them gapping down pretty significantly here as well after crashing 25% on revenue forecast cuts. And then this evening we got AMD, Pfizer, Snapchat, Rivian, and Yum brands and more. Dollar stabilized a little bit. Gold remains near all-time highs though. Gold still at $3,400 an ounce. Went as high as $3,440 an ounce yesterday. Dipping down a little bit though. It's over 34s, but it's still low. So again, Fed's been easing outlook. We're gonna start trading a little bit today if we can find some good stuff to get involved with. Palantir 170. Yeah, Palantir had really good earnings. Again, you can see the Nasdaq's elevated, the SPY's elevated. Nvidia's up to 181s right now, which is pretty close to its 185.40 all-time high. Nvidia's all-time high is about 185.40. So we can watch Nvidia all-time highs, 183.30 on the daily chart. Let's do a poll. Are you guys bullish or bearish? On today's market? Vote on that poll. Let me know if you can hear the music. You should be able to hear the music pretty well. And where's United Health at? It's still low. I might buy some of this right now in UNH. I'm gonna buy some of this. What's a reasonable share size based off the range? Again, I'm not telling you to buy it. Not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose money. Don't copy me. No idea what I'm talking about. Big range though for United Health. About $250 a share. So $250 a share, $240 a share, really. Let's say I buy 25 shares, about $6,000. I'm gonna buy probably like 20 shares of United Health right here. I think that's fair. You know, I'll start it off at 10. Alright, so we just got in that United Health. We bought 10 shares. We'll see what we get from that. I don't mind it down here. I put a bottom in at 234s. I think that looks okay. We'll buy 10. Anything else that looks cheap that's been dropping that you think will rebound, guys? I'm trying to kind of bottom feed what I can. Look for individual stocks. I don't really want to buy short term the NASDAQ and the S&P right now. They're just too extended. They're too elevated. But a lot of time at earnings season, you get some discounts. I could buy HIMS, but HIMS is just volatile. But I could buy HIMS down here. Where's it at now? HIMS is at 55. The outlook is the only thing scaring me here. What's the HIMS PE ratio? LEU. Yeah, I don't really know much about LEU as a company, though. I try to buy stuff I know. I know HIMS. I know United Health. HIMS has a PE ratio. Yeah, HIMS is at a premium still. Yeah, HIMS is at 92 right now. Maybe a little bit less, probably like 80s now with the lower price. So it's just a little bit too elevated for PE ratios. What's up, good news? Amazon? I mean, Amazon is on a short-term dip. I don't hate it. I might buy this. But the problem is that anything that moves with markets really, really obviously can be affected by the geopolitical and macroeconomic uncertainty that we got going on right now. And so that's not really something I want to mess with too much. But let's check recent earnings. So Pfizer dropped earnings this morning. It's up. Caterpillar up. Where's Home Depot at? How's Home Depot been performing? I really like Home Depot stock. And it's been on a little pullback here too. It's a little resilient as well. Yeah, I don't want to do options. Intel, nah. Hey, what's up, good news? What's up, Pedro? What's up, Kay? What's up, Denise? Hi, Lewis, Charlie, Sam, Pew, Harry, AM, LF, High Volume, Trey, Billy, Biz, Mac, Down, Eck, Beach Bum, what's up, man? Ace, 180, Caesar, Dragos, Graph, Allen, Vegas, Doom, Just Trading, Marco. What's up, chat? Novo? I don't know, man. We were talking about Novo yesterday. I know Novo. I know Carol has asthma. It's the only reason I know Novo is because she takes Advair, which is a Novo disc. Yeah. So that's the only reason I know Novo here. I don't hate Amazon. I might buy a little piece of Amazon and then sell it if I don't like it. But it's kind of elevated up here even, but I might buy a little piece of it. We'll see. We'll like swing trade Amazon maybe down here after earnings. What's Amazon's PE ratio? Hold on, let me check this. I got too many windows, bro. All right, there we go. All right, so Amazon currently has a PE ratio of about 32, which isn't terrible, but it's below its recent average, which is good. 10-year average. All right, I'll try to buy a little bit of Amazon, but not much. I'll buy what, like 10 shares. All right, we just bought 10 shares of Amazon swing trading, and we'll see what happens. Small positions today. We're just accumulating right now. On some pullbacks. Took a swing on HIMS Friday, but it went the other way. Oh well, still fun, all good. I had to take the Advair disc when I had pneumonia. Yeah, I mean, Carol's allergic to a lot of different stuff. It kind of goes to show you what it really does. This is what I'm about to say is absolutely true. You got to expose your kids to the world, man. I'm not saying Carol wasn't, but when I lived in a freaking zoo growing up, not a literal zoo, but I lived in my dad was a falconer, so we raised falcons, we raised quail, we had dogs, cats, gerbils, hamsters. I had snakes as pets. I love snakes. I had a bunch of snakes as pets. Our house was like a zoo, and I'm not allergic to anything, not that I know of. Not allergic to anything that I eat, not allergic to anything outside. You know, I don't react to anything. I've never had an asthma attack. I've never had to use an inhaler. And so, yeah, you gotta get exposed to the world to a certain extent. You'll be more resilient. Yeah, we've tried the raw honey thing. We do that with my son, too. We give him raw honey. But he's not really allergic to anything either. Anyways, SPY dipping down. We got the Q dipping down. Amazon dipping down. Palantir up to 170s here. Speaking of PE ratios, Palantir's PE ratio has got to be pretty high. Well, I can take a look at UAL. I don't know. They're just not big enough on pullbacks. United. What's Delta? DAL? Yeah. They're not terrible, though. Yeah, I mean, it's not perfect, but in general, you know. My sister was allergic to cats. And we had cats, and we didn't get rid of them. My dad was like, nah, we're not getting rid of them. So we kept the cats. And within a few years, she was not allergic to cats anymore. So, I mean, now she has dogs and cats, I'm pretty sure. Maybe dogs now, but... Marvel? All right, so we're looking to take some trades too here. I'm gonna jump on Top Step and maybe buy a little bit here. We've got a 4 micro contract position here, and show you this. Figure out the best way to squeeze this on screen. This investment, yeah. Oh, that's too squeezed, huh? We'll see what happens with this now. I don't mind buying this and just kind of sitting tight, waiting. I might have taken a little bit too large of size, but I'm trying to take some longer term trades, build up some easier profit. Apple's green on the day too. Apple's at 204s. Is the audio too low and what? The music? Can you not hear the music, guys? Let me know. I'll turn it up a little bit if that's better. Are you bullish or bearish in the incoming 6 months? Would rate cuts with tariffs, migration policies increase inflation, and that would be quite a disaster for the market? Yeah, I mean, I think that's possible. I don't know for sure. You know, it depends on what happens regarding these tariffs that we got going on right now. It really does. Like, the tariffs and how they impact us are going to matter. Like, these matter for sure. Yeah, so these are going to matter for sure. All right, so the president is supposed to join Squawk Box at 8 a.m. Eastern time. Who does Squawk Box again? CNBC Squawk Box. Yeah, so Trump is supposed to talk on Squawk Box on CNBC. At 8 a.m. Tariffs is just one variable. If we look at migration, it will have an effect too. Lower worker supply, same demand. Yeah, to a certain extent, you're right. But I think, like, you got to look at the labor market right now. And I think the labor market's really what's confirming for a lot of this stuff too. Like, the labor market is what people are worried about. You know, the labor market is what the big fear right now is versus inflation. Inflation's kind of taking a back seat in terms of market fears just because of that huge 258,000 jobs revision on the downside. You know, they revised jobs for May and June down almost 260,000, and that is making a lot of people scared for the economy and markets. Essentially what's going on. Right, so we're in this position. We're kind of flat. Yeah, so the president, again, just to put this into perspective, we got 20 minutes till the president jumps on Squawk Box. And we'll play it for you. All right, guys, so we are green on this position now. I'm trying to give it time to run. It really depends on whether you think NFL is also eyeing a 10% stake in ESPN. We're going to cut a piece of this. We'll take 2 off here. Lock some profit in and then let the last 2 micro contracts roll. We bought Amazon this morning. We bought United Health this morning. I am trading micro Bitcoin, or I'm sorry, micro NASDAQ futures. So this is basically the NASDAQ 100 in the futures market. And again, if you want to check out Top Step, that's what I'm trading on. No PDT in futures. You can day trade S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, Russell, gold, currencies in some places. A lot of ways to learn how to trade. No PDT rule in futures. So they're a sponsor of mine. I'm biased, but genuinely useful. You get started for $50 if you pass the test. You get a 50K funded account. You get to keep your first 10K and then 90% split afterwards. So if you're good enough, you can get started for $50. Start taking payouts, fund your own account. I'll put the link up. They're a sponsor of mine, though. I'm biased. Can't guarantee anything. Not a bad little trade, though. And honestly, I use algorithms a lot, too. But there's the link right there. I'll pin it to the top of the chat. Like, just to show you what I took this trade based off of. Again, dude, like my signals, I figured out like when they work, right? They don't work good if it's the middle of the night or if it's like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. They work pretty solid though as we get closer. Look at that one right here. And because that's right around when I took this one too. So, and we've already taken profit once. We can hold the rest break even. We're not going to lose money on this at all. I'm actually going to cut another piece of this here. Just wait. Let it ride. Still getting a nice run up here. Look at this rip. Oh. Let me go ahead and lock this in, I think. Alright, we're out. Not a bad trade for early in the morning. We're at the top of the range, high of the day. I'm taking profit right there. I'm not going to ride that up more. But sold Palantir after making 300%. All right, guys, we got the goods trade balance data. Like we got out right around the top here too, at least this short-term top. Yeah, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. We appreciate it. And the president is supposed to speak in 12 minutes. All right, so Norway, Sweden, and Denmark are going to finance one of the first military aid packages. Also, the president's supposed to name the new Fed governor that Adriana Kugler replaced sometime in the next few days. I don't think he's going to do it today on Squawk Box, but he might. Who knows? Kugler typically held a neutral stance on the board. Yeah, he's going to obviously appoint somebody a little bit more dovish. It could also become a candidate for Powell, or the Fed chair once Powell steps down in 2026 May. Palantir still ripping up right now, guys. Look at Palantir, PLTR, still going up this morning big. 171.30s. Yeah, it's a big move. I mean, I think there's fear in markets of extension of inflation, of there's a lot of fear in markets, I would say. But again, Asian markets are up. Yeah, and again, the president's going to join Squawk Box at 8 a.m. We'll see if that moves markets. We have 9 minutes until he's scheduled to speak. Okay, we'll put this out on the bottom so people can understand it. But everybody's just kind of waiting for this. Yeah, AMD day is today, so we have AMD earnings at the closing bell. We also have like Snapchat and more at the closing bell today, so it's actually kind of busy for earnings this evening. Yeah, that's a good position, Cap. Yeah, we bought not Palantir. We bought United Health this morning and Amazon. So again, regarding Indian news, so something that did kind of slide some markets down is the trade tensions right now between India and the U.S. So the president renewed his threat to substantially raise tariffs on Indian imports over their continued purchase and resale of Russian oil. It follows a 25% baseline tariff effective Monday of this week, or Friday of last week, August 1st. New Delhi called the threats unjustified and unreasonable and reaffirmed its right to safeguard its economic interest amid geopolitical pressure. They rejected criticism from the U.S. and European Union, pointing to their ongoing trade with Russia. Because of this, Indian equity markets are cautious. The Nifty 50 slid 0.31%, and the Sensex is down 0.36% as people are digesting this trade policy risk. Analysts say that the trade standoff is driven by political strategy and economics. America's actions responding to India's alignment with Russia and the BRICS role, and they follow stalled trade negotiations that aim to double bilateral trade to $500 billion by 2030. They're resisting pressure to embrace U.S. geopolitical demands. So essentially, India has they're talking with Russia, and that's kind of something they've been doing, but they're basically saying it's okay. We've got other friends, is what they're saying. And so we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with India. But yeah, markets are still up pretty big today. President set to speak in 6 minutes. Yeah, I'm paying attention this time. Thoughts on the BLSH IPO? I mean, it's good for crypto, but I stay away from IPOs. I stay away from IPOs in general, especially in terms of buying IPOs. There's too much risk, especially crypto IPOs right now. Bitcoin, as we say this, is down to 115 still. It's up a little bit today, but slightly up. Yeah, it's up slightly today. Sold Nvidia last Thursday. Need y'all to dump the market so I can get my bags back. I'm down 18 on my Palantir short. Who's Tommy? I don't know who Tommy is. Yeah, I mean, you can't really short any new IPO within a certain period of time after the IPO, so it's not like you can easily short them. You can't trade options on them either a lot of the time. You might be able to locate shorts, but you can't find put options or anything like that. Alright, guys, so we are waiting here for very strange. Can y'all see this? Did they really design it so that you can't see it on the other end? Weird.
Percent in Mexico and Brazil are largest.
Can y'all see this on the screen right now? Or does it look like a blank screen? Well, we can listen to the audio. The NBC, come on now, man. I'm pretty sure you can hear the audio. Let me see if you can hear this.
$4, I mean, came from.
Yeah, you can. All right. That's crazy. Well, at least have the audio from it. I do what? All right, guys, we got less than 2 minutes here. As long as it didn't hurt the stream. All right, we tried the graphics acceleration thing, but see if that works. reset everything. All right, guys. So we got about a minute before the president's supposed to go on Squawk. So see if it works now. Tried the graphics acceleration thing. Oh, it does work. Wow. Okay. Thank you, sir. That helps. Shout out to AT, my guy. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. All right, guys. So here we go. This is about to start right now. Again, the president is supposed to speak at 8 a.m. At 8 a.m. Which is right now. I'm gonna mute the music so you can't hear it. They got the Mercado Libre CFO on tariffs talking now. Yeah, so the sound's not coming in yet. He's not speaking yet. They're just talking to the Marcata CEO right now. He's not on yet. Again, we'll see what he's got to say. That's the 9 a.m. or 8 a.m. bell. So, will the president help or hurt the market? Let me know in chat right now. Do you guys think bullish response, bearish response? Let me know what you guys think. Gotta exit out of some of this stuff. Bro, honestly, that algorithm I used worked very well, dude. Like, we got out almost near the top. It didn't really tell me to get out, but I just figured it's the top of the range. Like, look, the last one showed up right here. Again, we're still waiting for the president to speak. He hasn't come on yet. I'm watching it right now live. And again, this is where the algorithm said to buy. And look at that. Nice little push up. Hank Paulson, bro, you said 8 a.m.
See right now, the 10 years at
I'm looking at this right now.
2-year at 370.
And now to the guests that we've been talking about all morning. President Donald Trump. Mr. President, welcome. Thanks for calling in. Wish you could be here in person, but we'll do this.
So the president's calling in.
Good morning, Joe.
We've been talking about the BLS and the employment numbers all morning long. Sometimes I know you get a chance to tune in. I want to bring up a chart. I hope you can see it, or else I'll describe it to you. This is the response rate over the last 10, 12 years for the BLS, the household survey. It's dropped from 90% or so on time down to 60 and sometimes even lower. It's arguably the most important number we get about the economy.
So he's arguing the data's wrong.
Yesterday, we had Wharton Professor Jeremy Siegel on. Just bear with me, Mr. President, and listen to this. I know you're familiar with Wharton, but unsolicited, this is what Jeremy Siegel said yesterday about the numbers.
I'm not going to let the BLS off the hook. I mean, you talk about how to fix it. Make these questionnaires mandatory and give them a time limit to fill it out.
He's saying fix the data, basically.
I think the response rate's down to 60%. I mean, that's unacceptable for the most important statistic that we have. It's almost like we're sending them out, fill it out when you can. We know you like to go to the beach in the summer, so it might be a little bit late. I agree. This is just not acceptable.
I agree.
Today, we need that response rate has to go up. And when you make the biggest mistake in 50 years, why? Why wasn't there an explanation?
It's 258,000 less in 2 months. That was the biggest revision since 1968, Mr. President. So we're in the internet age. We still can't get any instant data. We're still using snail mail to get the responses back. It is the government, after all. Antiquated, no doubt, and certainly suboptimal, but rigged? Where do you get the notion that it's rigged, or do you have any evidence there?
It is antiquated, but it's also very political. And, I had an election recently where I did very well, won every swing state, won the popular vote, won everything, all right? Won all the counties. It's, I think 87% of the counties were Republican up. That's never happened before. And yet I had to go through hell. And just days before the election, they put out numbers that it was like the country was on fire. It was doing so well. And then they did a revision about 2 weeks later, and the revision was down by almost 900,000 jobs. You remember that? And I said, what would have happened? What would have happened if I lost? Think of it. I would have said, they gave phony numbers, and then they revised them a week and a half later.
Those were benchmark numbers, though, Mr. President. That happens. They do that. They do that twice a year, and it reconciles the monthly figures with, like, the overall numbers. And it was a big number, and obviously
the numbers were rigged. The numbers were rigged. Biden wasn't doing well. He was doing poorly. They announced these phenomenal numbers 2 days before the election. And a little bit before that, always these great numbers, and you knew it wasn't doing well. You knew prices were through the roof and inflation was terrible. The whole thing was bad. But think of it. Then they did the biggest revision, I think, in history of almost 900,000 jobs. And it turned out to be more than that because later on they did another revision. And so they gave phony numbers in order to win the election. After I won the election, I said too big to rig. But after I won the election, then they announced a downward number, in other words, to bring them back to reality. And I said, wow, supposing I would have lost, I would have blamed that, and people would have said I was a conspiracy theorist. It's crazy.
Elaine Chao was on yesterday, and I know, she was, I think she was Labor Secretary for 8 years under Bush II, and she was your Transportation Secretary as well. And she said, the commissioner doesn't really even get involved with the actual minutia of putting all these things together. And there's no way that it could have been, that she could have chosen to rig these numbers to make them look bad. And these are statistical changes based on this antiquated system, and it's just a big leap to go to rigged. And then it also, Mr. President, it makes anyone you pick is going to be, critics are going to say, hey, he's picking a guy that's going to give him or a gal that's giving him the numbers that he wants. So it undermines confidence in the system to some extent. You had, according to many people, all the rights in the world to try to replace a commissioner when it's hasn't gotten any better. But that is maybe a bridge too far, according to most people.
Well, I think when somebody says the commissioner is not involved, I don't want to get into any arguments with anybody. Why should I? She's a very nice woman.
Exactly.
But when they say that that nobody was involved, that it wasn't political, give me a break. Look, before the election, I had this massive outflow of beauty for Biden. I mean, he didn't know he was alive. And for Biden, the economy was roaring. It was a beautiful thing. And I said, there's no way this is happening. It's going the opposite direction. And 2 weeks later, they said I was right. But even if you look at the original, the ones from the other day, the numbers were very timid. And then they announced something that made them even more timid on top of it. On sort of a reporting day, I don't know why, it just seemed a little bit more important than most times when they announced these numbers.
We talked earlier that the unemployment rate is still low. It's 4.2%.
It's fine. I'm not saying earth-shattering. No, I will say this. The numbers before the election were earth-shattering. I'm not saying these were earth-shattering. But then they announced a couple of 100,000 to make it look a little bit worse from, months before. I said, where did those numbers come from? So
for as much as you want
to, it's a highly political situation. It's totally rigged. Smart people know it. People with common sense know it. And a lot of people like to keep their head under the covers. And
let's move on to this. Which number do you believe at this point? Because if you noticed, suddenly the chances of what you've wanted for months and argued for months, the chances of a rate cut soared because of these numbers. Do you not
90%.
believe the current numbers? Because they're playing right into what you want the Fed and Jay Powell to do. They're not horrible, as you said, but, you know, perhaps with the tariffs, some businesses delayed some spending. Some consumers may have been less certain about the future. So maybe we're seeing a slight slowdown in labor, but you're going to get exactly what you want based on these numbers. Which ones do you believe? Do you not believe the revised numbers either?
It's not what I want. I don't want that. I wanted it a year ago. I wanted it a long time ago. Jay
did
Powell
cut a year ago.
Highly political, and I think, you know, I call him too late. Jerome, too late. Powell, he's too late. He's too late always. He always has been, except when it came to lowering interest rates before the election. You know, he did. He worked that out.
That was a year ago. I know you watch the show occasionally, and we had an extended interview with one of the prospective replacements, Kevin Warsh. Were you watching that day, or? I
was. He's very good. He's very good. He's very good. Sometimes they're all very good until you put them in there, and then they don't do so good. But a lot of them, I think he's a very good guy. I think say Kevin and Kevin. Both Kevins are very good, and there are other people that are very good too. But
Kevin's like Karens. I don't know if that's good.
A lot of times they're very good. Like this character that we have in there now, Jerome Too Late Powell. He was very good. He said, "Sir, I'll keep interest rates so low. I'm a low interest rate person, sir." You could hardly hear him talking over the desk.
Is Warsh
somebody that worked for me was a big fan of his. Not a fan of his. He hardly knew him, but he wanted him so badly. I did somebody a favor. I put him in there. No, he's too late. He's too late. That name will stick to him.
Can you handicap it at all? Who you're, or you won't know? When will you know?
And when will you announce it? Two Kevins are doing well, and I have two other people that are doing well. You know, it's in the end, there are numerous people that are qualified. Everyone on your phone right now, in terms of at your beautiful studio, would be very qualified, in my opinion. You guys are better than most of the people that do it for a living. But I watched a lot, actually. No, I think that it'll be one of four people.
Are the other
I'm going to
two
make the decision soon. And don't forget, we have somebody that left early, which was a pleasant surprise. We have a woman that left early. She announced 2 days ago, and she's leaving, and I'm going to be announcing that very shortly, too. That will be, most likely it'll be for the 4 months, you know, for the short period of time. But a lot of people say that when you do that, why don't you just pick the person who's going to head up the Fed? That's a possibility, too.
President Trump, you said there are four names. There are two other names that have been mentioned in the press. One is Governor Waller. The other is the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent. Are those the four that you're considering?
Well, I love Scott, but he wants to stay where he is. I'll take him off because I asked him just last night, is this something you want? Nope, I want to stay where I am. He actually said, I want to work with you. It's such an honor. I said, that's very nice. I appreciate that. But, no, Scott wants to do what he's doing. He's doing a great job, and he wants to do what he's doing. So I just take him off. He does not want it. He likes being Treasury Secretary. He's doing a really good job. We made the greatest trade deals in the history of our country. We had to because we were being ripped off by the world. It's not like we had a choice. If we would have gotten these trade deals, if you would have had a normal president that would have just continued to allow every country in the world to rip you off, we would not have a country anymore. Your show would be off the air. There'd be nothing to look at. It would be a disaster. We were in such bad shape when I took over. Eggs had tripled in price. More than that. Everything was up, and prices are down, and it bugs me. I looked at CNN the other night, which is a failing deal. It's got no ratings, and I'm probably the only guy watching. And I watched these guys talking about, well, with Trump, prices are up. No, prices are down since I came in. Down. All prices just about, except for the price of stock. The price of stock is way up, okay? But prices are down. And if you look at energy, I'll give you an example. Joe, look at energy. Some of them, but energy is way down. Energy is down to $2.20 a gallon now for a car. It's down to a level. You're down, I guess, around $65 a barrel, but it's going down. There's tremendous energy. And if you notice, OPEC and OPEC Plus, they're drilling more. They want to drill more because I think they want me happy. Because if energy goes down low enough, Putin's going to stop killing people. All
right, so I'm going to cut it right there. We have import-export data going live. Let me see. We do have import-export data and the trade deficit data going live at 8:30. I want to make sure to pivot to that and cover that. And so, again, we got the trade deficit The trade balance data, the goods trades balance data going live at 8:30. That's on only 15 minutes. I want to cut to that. He's not really saying anything that might move markets, I don't think. Not anything too crazy here. But yeah, so we have the import, export, and the trade balance data for June. It's expected actually to be a little bit better than previously. Previously, it was a negative 71.5 billion. Now it's negative 62.6 billion. So they are expecting it to get a little bit better. Look at the NASDAQ shoot up here as well. I don't know if it's shooting up on what he's saying. But I think we also, yeah, if any energy prices go down, Putin will stop. Might announce Fed chair fairly soon. Taking Besson off the Fed chair list. Besson wants to stay where he is. Yeah. So, but again, we got the trade balance data. And we're going to put the music back on. I don't want that to take up too much of the stream. You should be able to hear it fairly well, though. Yeah, I'm not going to comment on whether I agree or disagree with anything what he said. I wanted to cover some of it. But yeah, we got the trade balance data. At 8:30. He just spoke just now. He literally just spoke. Like we had some of the call up listening to it. Yeah, it's gonna be one of the Kevins most likely for Fed chairman is what it sounded like. Bassett doesn't want the job, he said. I think it's expected at 62.6 billion for the trade balance data, right? Yeah, 62.6 billion. All right, NASDAQ ran into this line we got up here at 23.4s. Now it's kind of pulling back down some. Look at Palantir rip though. Palantir's flying up. Again, we bought United Health and Amazon. We're green on both of those this morning. Yeah, if you want to watch more of that speech, all right, look at this big dip down here. Wow. So ECB's Holzman says should keep interest rates where they are and await further economic development. Shouldn't worry about satisfying market expectations. Largely shared view on governing council that now is the time to wait. Would not exclude that the next rate will be a hike. Too much uncertainty. Do not expect a continued depreciation of the USD. That's the European Central Bank's Holzman. Yeah, I like UNH. I bought UNH this morning. I might add more if it continues down. UNH had a huge dip, a huge decrease. UNH is down from essentially 630s at the end of last year all the way down to 240s. And I think United Health is solid. Even this year, right? It hit 604 in March and went all the way down to 241s. And so I'm okay with buying it for the long term, but you never know what it's going to do. Look at this dip in markets here. Wow. Want to make sure the president didn't say anything else. Hold on, let me check. Okay, so the president said tariff of 35% on the European Union if doesn't meet obligations, according to the CNBC interview. Again, 35% tariff on the European Union if it doesn't meet obligations. I don't know if that caused this dip, but it might have. Again, 35% tariff on the European Union if it doesn't meet obligations. He said we'll be putting an initially small tariff on pharmaceuticals. We will be announcing on semiconductors and chips in the next week or so. There's something else he said. Look at the impact of this move, though. I mean, of this news. It dropped markets pretty substantially here. We got the trade balance date at 8:30 in 9 minutes. Yeah, it could be no deal, and I think that's what's making the market react negatively here. Yeah, we got the trade balance data as well. Again, this move down is specifically because the president said, quote, or the president said, I'm not worried about oil prices, but he said, that a tariff of 35% on the European Union if they don't meet obligations. And so that might sound like a deal isn't necessarily done with them. Cisco has disclosed that the cyber criminals basically stole profile information of users registered on Cisco.com. But yeah, this European Union potential no deal news is making the markets dump here. We're falling down quickly. We just bounced right here at 350, but man, it's looking weak and red. Yeah, we also had the India news this morning, where India, because they continue to purchase Russian oil, he said the president just said that they'll raise India tariffs substantially over the next 24 hours. Again, you can give me a follow at Beginner Trades. We cover all this stuff, breaking news live. Yeah, at Beginner Trades, give me a follow. We got 6 minutes before the trade balance data shows up. Yeah, this trade balance data is pretty significant too. Five minutes. I'll put a timer up. We did stop right there at 350. Look at that level hold. And now we're starting to rebound. Hey, what's up, B? What's up, Fender, Fernando, the one, William, Ryan? Projecting at that 200 exponential level here. We're nicely green on the day. We got into a really nice trade from our algorithm earlier, but we're just kind of sitting tight now. Volatility's picking up with all the stuff going on. Wish they reported this a little bit more. All right, so the president said I have a very good relationship with Chinese leader Xi. I will meet with China's Xi before the end of the year if there's a trade deal. We're close to a China deal. I think we'll make a good deal with China. Again, he said we'll meet with China's Xi before the end of the year if there's a trade deal. We're close to a deal with them. That's essentially what he's saying regarding China. Not really having a positive influence on markets, but still. And we're starting to push down. All right, guys, we got the trade balance data in about 3 minutes here. 3 minutes. Look at that bounce right here at 360. That level held too. Doesn't mean it's not going to go underneath it, but... All right, let's see what we get, guys. Let me know what you guys think we're going to get for this trade balance data. Are you bullish or bearish? Let me know in chat. I think the markets will find the trade balance difficult to interpret. Less U.S. imports due to tariffs, yet less exports due to boycotting. Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably plausible. I mean, we certainly are exporting more than we're more than last time. Not more than we're importing, but we're exporting more than last time. Last time the balance, like the import versus export ratio balance, is between was negative 71 billion roughly. Today it's expected at roughly 63 billion negative. So we started to import a little bit more, but it's still super negative. Obviously, I mean, we're the United States, right? So we don't really export our goods throughout the world. We import China's goods a lot of the time, and that's why China deal is so important regarding inflation and everything else, is because we import a lot of Chinese goods to the United States. And so because of that, you know, that's kind of where we're at with it. We also have services PMI a little bit later too, so we'll see what that looks like. But yeah, we got about 2 minutes left, chat. Hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you subscribe. You can put it in 2x speed to catch up. Bear, bullish, bearish, bearish, bullish, bull. All right, here we go, guys. We got about a minute left. 1 minute. If you put it in 2x speed, again, if you hit the live button and put it in 2x speed, you'll stay up to date with the stream. You won't have to keep hitting live. I might sound like a chipmunk for maybe 10 seconds, but then it should keep up with the stream. It's just kind of a little hack to continue to stay real time in live streams. Still slowly breaking down here. And again, this is on the heels of more presidential news. The president claims JP Morgan discriminated against him. He said Bank of America, JP Morgan, both. He said, I have a very good relation with Chinese leader Xi. So the next Fed chairman is not going to be Bessent as well. That's some news that we got out. All right, guys, we got 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Let's see what we get. This timer's a little early. 10 seconds. And here's the report right here. 3, 2, 1. And now's the reports live. All right, so trade balance data, negative 60.2 billion. A little bit better than expected, honestly. Negative 60.2 versus negative 62.6 expected. Again, negative 60.2 versus negative 62.6 expected. A little bit better than expected here for the trade balance data. And I'll put this data up on screen. Again, so we are now importing a little bit more. NASDAQ hasn't really reacted too much to this, but again, I'll put this up on the screen. All right, so you can see it's scrolling now at the bottom. We also have Canadian balance data here. Again, we came in at negative 60.2 billion versus negative 62.6 billion. So a little bit less negative than last time, as well as a little bit less than expected. A little bit stronger for the economy than expected here. Showing that we're now importing, we're now exporting a little bit more than we were last time. Sorry, I don't know if I said importing, but we're now exporting a little bit more than we were last time. You know, the import, generally we import much more than we export at a super negative number. Again, the previous time we came in at negative 71.7. We expected negative 62 billion, meaning the ratio between imports and exports, or exports and imports, I should say. But at this point, we did get a little bit more positive of a number here at negative 60.2 versus negative 63 expected, roughly. So that essentially means that we are now exporting a little bit more than we were. We're still at a super deep negative number, of course, but yeah. Import as well as export is just down. That's not good. Yeah, that might be true. All right, look at this breakdown here. We're at 350. Yeah, so this is causing us to break down. Let's see if this bounce at 350 works. So we're now up to 360. Again, you can see the data on screen. We came in at negative 60.2 versus negative 61.3, or anywhere between 62.6 is what I showed. Kind of flat though. We haven't really moved here. I don't know if the president is still speaking. Let me check. Yeah, I think he's done speaking now. Again, trade deficit data 60.18 versus 61.62 expected. A little bit better deficit. I mean, we thought Hood was going to join the S&P 500 last time, didn't we? And then something else got put on it, I think. What was the company that got put on the S&P instead of Robinhood last time? I can't remember what it was, but... Why is Christmas songs on my playlist all of a sudden, dude? Hold on. I like Christmas songs, don't get me wrong, but... Coinbase. Yeah, Coinbase. Data dog. Look at gold. Palantir's still up big. Gold's spiking a little bit on you know, maybe swirling of a potential European Union deal not quite being finished or done or in jeopardy here. OpenAI, Google, and Anthropic win the U.S. approval for civilian AI contracts, according to Bloomberg. So that news just came out. All right, so we're still flat. We're starting to rebound back up. The trades balance data, I would say, is a little bit better than expected, but not like significantly. A little bit lower for the deficit, but... All right, so Coinbase is now offering 30 to 35% convert premium on 2032 notes, according to sources. We got to do a couple good trades this morning, but the volatility has been light after a lot of this. Yeah, so again, JP Morgan, the president said they discriminated against him. JP Morgan, what was the other one? He said it wasn't just JP Morgan. I think it was Wells Fargo maybe, or it was BOA maybe. Yeah, it was Bank of America. So Bank of America and JP Morgan bank stocks both down after the news that the president said they didn't like him or discriminated against him or whatever it was. So... And again, we got 20-something minutes until the market. Or until 9 a.m. Where's my Discord? No, I got it somewhere. Data may be considered as manipulation as people maybe imported everything. I don't think it was the market reacting like that. So Azul says just joined, and you might have already talked about it, but I don't know why the market reacted like that, just because Besant doesn't want to quit his job. I don't think the market's reacting to that. The market is reacting to the president speaking about tariffs. And both, it's mostly, the president says he will not run again for president. But it's probably because of the president saying a couple different things. He said two things that move markets on the downside. He said tariff of 35% on the European Union if it doesn't meet obligations in the CNBC interview. And again, he said 35% tariff on the European Union if it doesn't meet obligations on CNBC. He also said he will raise the India tariff substantially over the next 24 hours. Okay, both of those things signal fear, and that made markets drop. The big fear is that you know, and this is the market downward push. The big fear is that the European Union deal is in jeopardy, is what I think it is. So we'll see. Yeah, I don't know. I just try to cover news here, and so I'm trying to do my best. I don't even tell people I'm a good trader, you know. All right, look at this flat level here. We got the 200 exponential right at 370s and then 360s below us. It's probably a point to watch. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's finished. So it's likely rates won't get cut next month. Next month, we don't have an FOMC decision. And so unless they do an emergency cut, which I think is pretty improbable, yeah, I mean, we're not going to get a rate cut next month. Or no, wait, I'm sorry. You are correct. Sorry, I'm dumb. You're right. I'm wrong. Next month is September. We do get a rate decision in September. Sorry, I don't know what I was thinking. I was thinking it was July still for some reason. But we're almost certainly cutting rates in July. Or in September. And if you look at the odds right now, just because the payroll data was so negative, and this is the first thing the press talked about this morning, was that, you know, he talked about how they gather the data. It's survey data. He talked about how they gather the survey data and about how they gather the information regarding the Bureau of Labor Statistics and about how that needs to change. But it's still looking 90 to 10% likely that we cut rates next month in September. AMD has earnings today. It could be volatile based off of its earnings release today. We'll see. Yeah, guys, be careful regarding, there's a couple of people that are, I'm pretty sure, scamming people on social media. One of them is Ethan Miller. They're sending me bot comments to most of my posts, and they look very similar to, like, if they try to drag you to a WhatsApp, they're probably trying to scam you out of money. So just be careful. I'm gonna block this person that keeps spamming my stuff and trying to promote themselves every time. Again, just be careful. Again, the big news is that Bessent's not going to be the Fed chairman. European Union deal could be in jeopardy, and we might see additional tariffs on India in the next 24 hours is what it is. Institutions won't buy this market after this interview. Maybe, I don't know. I don't think it's, I think we have AMD, Snapchat, Supermicro earnings this evening. I think there's a lot of other stuff going on in markets outside of economics that people are looking for. And so, you know, the rate cut odds are up for next month. That might stimulate things. Pfizer dropped earnings this morning. And so, all right, look at the NASDAQ start to pop up here. So we are seeing some rebounds. Yeah, the president said leaders of NATO do whatever they want. Says he would like to run for president again, but he will probably not. So essentially, he's not going to do another term. Even if they 10x their earnings, they're overvalued. Yeah, market's back up. I mean, it's still small. I mean, the tick range is small here. We're not really moving a lot. All right, so we're right at that 200 exponential here, though, so we're still sideways. All right. Yeah, so the president's done speaking. Big stories. The president just finished speaking. Big stories from him today. Again, he's not going to run again. Bessent's not going to be FOMC chairman. It's probably going to be one of the Kevins for FOMC chairman, most likely, whenever he announces the next one. Potentially 35% tariffs on European Union if they don't work with us. India might get raised in terms of tariff amount. Trade balance data showed up a little bit better than expected, more imports than expected. But yeah, president might raise India tariffs over the next 24 hours. 35% tariff on European Union if they don't meet obligations. Thanks for the news updates. You're the best. Hey, thank you. Appreciate you. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you, sir. PPI numbers aren't out. PMI data doesn't drop until 10 a.m. 9:45 and 10 a.m. that is. So we got ISM data at 10 a.m. But yeah, All right, so most of the earnings this morning came in flat. Or not flat, I'm sorry. Most of the earnings this morning came in better than expected for EPS margins, but still kind of mixed. Yeah, we had Caterpillar miss EPS but beat revenue. Pfizer beat EPS, beat revenue. Lemonade beat EPS, beat revenue. Galaxy beat EPS, miss revenue. So again, we had some mixed numbers. Bouncing right at that 60 level. Look at that 60 level hold. So it's there. We got into one trade. We're still waiting for the market here. We do have ISM, a magic line though. Yeah, dude. Levels are good. All right, so Indonesia's vice president's office is considering adopting Bitcoin as a national reserve asset. This should be good for Bitcoin here. Again, bank stocks are down after the president said negative things regarding them. Bitcoin's still down to 114s though. Hey, what's up, Tiny? Again, if you haven't already, check out TopStat. Beautiful way to help support the channel. There's no PDT in futures. You can day trade the S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, Russell, gold, some currencies. It's very similar to day trading stocks, and you can get started for $50 a month versus funding thousands into your own account and probably losing it. Most day traders lose money. And so if you fund your own account tens of thousands of dollars, you're probably going to lose it. Instead, $50 a month. If you fail, you lose $50. It's not the end of the world. If you pass it, 50K funded account, you get to keep your first 10K prior to the split kicking in and then 90% split afterwards. So it's similar to funding your own account. And there's 100K accounts for $100, 150K challenge for $150. They're a sponsor of mine. I'm biased. I get paid by them, but genuinely useful and a great way to learn. Patterns are very similar to like blue chip stock patterns as well. There's the link. You can see it pinned at the top of the chat as well. And yeah. Understand all this stuff on screen. They're a sponsor of mine. I'm biased. I get paid by them. So top 3 most biased person ever. Understand all that stuff right there on screen, guys. Not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose money. Don't copy me. Yeah, because I know when I got started day trading, bro, I lost thousands of dollars. And I think this is pretty common with most people. Like everybody selling you a course wants you to believe that if you buy their course, somehow you're going to be some type of like hyper profitable day trader by buying their course. And I think traders have a lot of confirmation bias in this way, right? Like if I spend $2,000 on a course, I want to believe the money I spend is justifiable, right? So I'm going to be like, yeah, this is worth it. If I spend 2K on a course, you know, no matter, even if it's garbage, even if it's total utter garbage, if I spend thousands of dollars on a course or a service or some type of chat room, I'm going to convince myself in my head with confirmation bias that it was justifiable. You know, it's the greatest course ever. And that's why you hear people repeating it. Oh, this course is great. This course is great. It's like, yeah, you're just saying that because you spent $5,000 on it. You got talked into spending $5,000 on it. So your brain won't let you say, hey, this course sucks. You know, your brain's going to say, please justify spending this much money. And so that's why you got a lot of people out here spending money on courses, pretending like they're justifiable. The reality of it is everybody trades different, and it has to do with your own personality. Like, people have different personalities. Some people are going to be patient and wait. Some people are going to be pessimistic and short term. Everybody's different in that regard. And so buying a course based off of somebody else's personality, what's the purpose of that? Like, again, it might not work, and you might be wasting your money and throwing your money down the drain. And so limiting your risk in the beginning, find something else just makes sense, right? Regardless of what sponsor or anything I have, this is just objectively true. And so you just want to be careful, you know. It took years to be successful, and I don't even claim to be a good trader. Most day traders lose. The other problem is that people just get involved with gambling really easy. Like, people just get involved with gambling really easy. Like, gamblers, like, I was a poker player, so this might not be the best example. Look at the NASDAQ start to flush. Let's watch 350 underneath us here. 350 makes sense. I was a poker player prior to joining the market, but I see a lot of people, they, like, if you got a $5,000 account, like, they don't understand. You got a $5,000 account. If you start swinging for the fences trying to make $3,000 to $5,000 gains on that $5,000 account, you're betting with roughly 50 to 100% of your account. If it's 2,500 to 5K, if those are the gains you're trying to make, that's 50 to 100% of your account. Like, that's not a reasonable expectation. But you got a lot of people that they're so addicted to the rush of it that that's the only thing they can do. And I see this a lot where people, they try to make these big ridiculous gains. And again, it's a losing endeavor. Like, you're not going to be able, at least a large majority of people are not going to be able to take a $3,000 or $5,000 or $10,000 account and run that up into 50K, 100K, whatever it is. Most people are not going to be able to do that, regardless of what course they take, who their mentor is, what strategy they have. It's just not a reasonable thing. And if you have some type of system that allows you to make 2 to 5, 6% a month, or 10% a month, or 20% a month, consistently over a large sample size, go work for Goldman Sachs. They'll give you the funds to get big money in there, you know. But you got a lot of people teaching all this different stuff that would make more working at Goldman Sachs, but they don't work at Goldman Sachs. And the truth is, it's because they're telling you crap, feeding you nonsense. They're telling you they're making all these big gains. Really, they're just trying to justify selling you a course or selling you a service. And that's really what's going on. You know, there's a reason you don't see a lot of YouTubers working at Goldman Sachs making $1 billion. It's because their system really is not making them money like that. And I would say a lot of the guys teaching you, selling you courses are using algorithms behind anyway, right? Like I use algorithms a ton with my own trading, my day trading. And so a lot of the guys that are flashing these big gains on social media are doing it by algorithms. They're buying a subscription algorithm service, taking the alerts, taking the trades that the algorithm tells them, and then they're acting like a genius when they have those big gains, right? So you just got to understand what the game is. And I'm not even against using algorithms. I think algorithms are solid, but you got to understand what's actually going on so you don't get manipulated out here. Because, yeah. If I was that good, I wouldn't work for Goldman Sachs anyways. I wouldn't need them. The benefit of working for Goldman Sachs, this is all just kind of, you know, I'm just kind of explaining why most people are full of crap. The reason you might want to work for Goldman Sachs is leverage. They're going to fund you millions of dollars potentially if you have some type of legitimately verified system that makes that type of money. But again, nobody really does. If you got a system making you 3 to 5% a day, you know, and what's crazy is you got people flashing 100% gains a day, but it goes like this: they make 100%, they make another 100%, they lose everything. It's kind of the martingale, you know, roulette strategy, but in trading. They risk their whole account. For a couple times it looks good, and then they lose everything they have. And so, don't be one of those people that are just trading for the rush of gambling, risk, you know. And I think there's a lot of people like that out there. Any news today? Yeah, there's lots of news. It's slowing down a little bit from the news though. So Bessent's not, the president said this morning, he's challenging how the BLS retrieves data in terms of the surveys and the lag that the BLS, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, retrieves data. That came out. He said Bessent's not going to be the Fed chairman. He said he's going to announce, it's probably one of the Kevins. Plus, he said that we might raise tariffs on India substantially over the next 24 hours. He said if the European Union doesn't fulfill its obligations, they're going to get hit with a 35% tariff. And all this stuff is negatively impacting markets. This is what dragged the market down here. And now we're just kind of waiting. We got ISM services data going live at 9:45 and 10 o'clock this morning. And so we have that going on too. The rule is to not risk more than 20% of your portfolio on any position. 20%? Brother? 20%? Per position? I don't know about that one, man. I think that seems high too. I would say maybe like 5. Even still, it's a risky thing. And this is if we're talking about like swing trading or long-term trading. 20% is a lot. Swings that, if you're risking 20% of your account in every trade, those are some big freaking swings, you know? Yeah, I would say like 1%, 0.5%. I'm comfortable with like 0.5%. You know, they had some person on social media not that long ago. It was some TikToker or whatever she was, and she was like, "Yeah, guys, if you just make 5% a day, you know, you could make X amount of money." And it's like, well, yeah, if you make 5% a day within 5 years, you'll be the richest person in the world. So, again, you're not making 5% regularly a day, and if you do, Goldman Sachs will give you $10 billion for that system. Yeah, you lose 4 in a row, your account's gone, Chris. That's why 20%, that seems crazy to me too. Like, I know in terms of like blackjack, it's 1%. You risk 1%. You get 100 buy-ins, 1%. And that eliminates the odds of a bust out, but it's still not 0. You know, you still might fail with 1%, you know, risk. You're wrong. Trading is different when you have big capital. Getting that whole money into the market by itself is hard. Yeah, I mean, you might be right. I don't know. Yeah. All right, guys. 25 minutes until the opening bell. If I lose 1%, I stop trading for the day, as you probably should. You know. All right, Nvidia coming back down a little bit. The Nasdaq's under that 360 level. I'm still watching 350s right here, but I don't really see anything I like to trade. This is just too sideways. The 200 exponential's been holding this thing down as well, so. Yeah, I mean, the usual way that I see people lying to themselves regarding trading is they'll take a position here and they'll add to it here and they'll add to it again here, and then eventually it'll bounce up like this and they'll make money on the trade, right? And they do that 2 or 3 times, you know, where they do that for like a week or two and they make some money and they're like, man, I got this hella profitable system right here. Like, I'm making big money. Look at me. Look at my accuracy rate. I'm accurate at 90% of my trades. And that's all good and fine. But eventually, I've said this 1,000 times, but eventually the check's going to come. And, you know, it's going to look something like green day, green day, green day, green day. Your whole account's gone. And so it's very similar to the martingale roulette strategy. And the reason that doesn't work, right? Martingale roulette strategy basically says you double your bet every time for 6 times in a row. And so to lose in the martingale, you have to lose 6 times in a row. And if you don't understand statistics, you might say, oh, well, you're never going to lose. You're going to lose eventually. And when you lose, you're going to lose everything you made plus more potentially. And so there's a reason it doesn't work. And it's the same thing with trading. Like, you can keep adding to losing positions. And sometimes you'll see me add to losing positions. Usually I only do it when I'm already green. If I'm green $200-$300, I can add to some losing trades and hold it break even. And then if I lose, I'm break even. It's, you know, I'm flat for the day instead of taking an exorbitant amount of risk. But a lot of people just keep adding to losses, especially in day trading. And eventually it's just going to keep dropping. And that's what happens. That's where I see people get stuck, where they think they've got a profitable strategy until their whole account's gone and they didn't know what happened. And they think it's just some small random mistake that they made. But the mistake is in the system itself. Yeah, I mean, this is not uncommon. This is what happens to a lot of traders, to be honest. This is kind of what happens. It's tempting to add to losing position. I do it. Again, I usually only do it when I'm green on the day. And so I think if you want to protect yourself from that rule, you can, like, if you're green on the day, you can add to losing positions as long as you have the discipline to cut it when you're flat. Like, when you lose all your profits for the day, you better be disciplined and get out. Because if you're not, and you want to just let me hold it a little bit longer and see what happens, that's when you have a big drawdown, and then you're trying to win that drawdown back, so you take larger risks, and then you have another loss, and then before you know it, you're just kind of risking everything. And I've done this many times. Like, I'm not, you know, I'm not claiming to be better than anybody. This happens. But over time, you got to just be selective. Yeah, and I see a lot of people in chat like, yo, that happened to me. I know, this happens to almost all traders when they're learning, especially. But it happens to all traders for the most part. I had 16 days of winning, and then all of a sudden I can't get more than 2 days in a row. Well, yeah, I mean, your 16 days of winning probably had to do, my guess is, with April 1st and the volatility that ensued from it, attacking the easy trends that followed it. You know, I think that happened to a lot of people too. Earnings make it volatile. There's a lot of stuff that changes with markets. Like, some markets are good, other markets are not. And so you just gotta wait. Again, hit the subscribe button. Listen, everything we do here is free. We don't charge a penny for anything. We don't sell a course, don't sell a service, don't claim to be good traders. We just kind of cover market news, trade live every day, cover earnings, cover economic reports. Today we got ISM services PMI going live in about, really, we got the base one, the regular services PMI by market economics going live at 9:45. That's in 35 minutes. And then we have the big one, which is ISM services. Also, Nvidia is starting to flush down here. It's really what's dragging the market down. Look at Nvidia fall. There's 350, and we just kind of ripped underneath it. Did some news happen for Nvidia? Caterpillar CFO says, including tariff impacts, expects lower margins for construction. Brazil Treasury Secretary Saron sees a fiscal challenge for the medium term with the structural dynamics of Social Security expenditure. All right, so Tesla and Elon are sued over robotaxi risks. Where's Tesla at? Yeah, Tesla's really what's dropping. Could be the lawsuit news. Tesla's down to 308s. Here's Nvidia. Gold's pushing up. Nasdaq's breaking down a little bit on this. Man, look at Tesla fall. It really is dragging the Nasdaq and a lot of other stuff down with it. Where's Palantir at? Palantir's up huge. It's at 173s basically right now. Nvidia just cracked under this big level. Look at Tesla fall. There's not really any breaking news right now either. Not that I see. Easier to trade options on individual stocks or the indices. I like trading indices better. I like buying shares. Like I bought a little UNH and Amazon this morning, but I like buying shares more than anything. The reason I like buying shares is just because options can be too restrictive. So like options, if you have enough money to just, not buy options and instead buy individual shares, it's going to be a lot more stable. What I mean by that is like, you don't have to worry so much about time decay and the Greeks and everything like that. It's just easier to manage. Yeah, it's a lot more restrictive with options in terms of it's a lot harder to profit in some ways from options. In other ways, it's easier to profit, but if you have the money, shares are just less restrictive. Meaning you can hold them as long as you want, wait. The biggest statistical edge in most blue chips is that they're going to go up long term. Most of them, at least. Not always. You know, this is in general. This is a generalized statement. Most blue chips are going to go up over time. Most indices, if we're talking NASDAQ, S&P, Dow, are going to go up over time. And so the statistical edge is that if you sit in it long enough, you're probably going to make money. You know, and options kind of take some of that statistical edge away. And so I like options to a certain extent in specific scenarios, but if I have the option, pun intended, I guess, of buying shares or options, I'd probably rather buy shares if I have the buying power for it. You know, it's less restrictive on buying power though, and you can get involved with options a lot easier than buying shares, especially some of these super high priced stocks. So I mean, there's pros and cons. right, NASDAQ tested this low. It's kind of bouncing back. We got 15 minutes. Rate cuts today. We're not going to get any surprise cuts today. That's just not happening. I doubt we're going to get surprise cuts in general just because the optics of it looks bad. I think we're going to cut in September. But I seriously doubt we're going to get any type of surprise cut. Yeah, Nvidia, Tesla falling is what's driving this down. Yeah, I mean, maybe it's time for a pullback. 14 minutes into the market opens. Tesla just cracked lows again. Look at this. Look at this. It's down to 307.50s now. 307.50s. Yeah, so wage growth for the lowest paid workers in the U.S. went down almost 4% year over year in June, the lowest in 7 years. 50% drop from the 7.5% peak in 2022. Some workers are earning less than $800 a week. Top earners, those making over $1,800 a week, saw wages rise by almost 5% in June. Workforce saw 4.3% wage growth. Ex-Treasurer Paulson says the U.S. should have fiscal contingency planning and they don't know when treasuries hit the wall. Also, guys, do me a favor. We cover all this at Beginner Trades on X.com. Give me a follow there. You think September rate cuts will be bullish or bearish? I would assume bullish, but you never know, man. You don't know what the markets are going to do. Again, I would assume bullish, though, just because... I assume bullish just because the market generally wants rate cuts, I would say. Like, markets have reacted negatively to data that suggests we might not get rate cuts as early as we want. Like, markets reacted negatively to a certain extent to the FOMC with hawkish Powell. And then, you know... and then the labor report. So honestly, both things are bad, right? Really, what we've seen in the market is that good is bad and bad is bad. But you never know. Again, there's so much variance with market reactions, especially in terms of that. I think the market wants lower mortgage rates for sure. I think we should end quantitative tightening in September as well. But we'll see. You know, we'll see. Yeah, AMD and Supermicro Semiconductor earnings today. See what AMD does for earnings, man. All right, look at this rebound. We're back up to that 200 exponential level, and we've been at it all morning. So we'll see what happens here. Recession coming, I don't know. We got to see one negative quarter. I mean, we got quarter one negative GDP. They're expecting quarter two to be 2-point-something% positive. So unless they change that, didn't the Atlanta Fed GDP now come out? It showed up at 2.1% for August 1st. So this is regarding quarter two GDP. Last quarter was negative, down from 2.3% on July 31st. Again, 2.1%. So they're still expecting a pretty positive number here for quarter two. And so until we get multiple negative projections for GDP in a row, we're not going to be heading anywhere near a recession. Now, I do think we should cut rates in September to avoid, because I think if we don't cut rates in September and we continue to see really deep softening in the labor market, that's where we're going to start trending towards, you know, a potentially looming recession. So I do want to see us in QT and potentially cut rates now in September, but, you know, if we get that. Yeah, but ending the sell-off of MBSs from the Fed's balance sheet, which is quantitative tightening, will help bring mortgage rates down too. That's why I said I think we should end QT, and especially with MBSs and mortgage-backed securities. You know, but yeah, numbers were not good. I agree. Numbers were not good. ADP, GDP, and trade balance data can't really be faked. Yeah, but the ADP data was pretty bad too. You know, what did the ADP data show up last time at? When did ADP data? I think ADP data came out last week, right? Jolts showed weaker jobs than expected too. ADP data showed up Wednesday last week. It showed up at 104. So actually that was a little bit stronger than expected versus 77,000 for ADP non-farm employment change data. I mean, trade balance data, a little bit more exports now. All right, so European firms expected to report 3.1% increase in quarter two earnings versus 1.8 a week ago. Firms expect to report a 2% fall in quarter two revenue versus 3.3% fall a week ago, according to LSEG data. Okay, guys, I'm seeing a lot of scammers on X. A lot of scammers on X. So what they're doing is they're creating fake social media profiles, acting like market experts, and then they're going to other people's channels and commenting things. And they're saying, "Oh, well, this is true. You know, Steve over here, analyst Steve, you know, said this would happen. You know, see his page here." And then they're getting people to go there and they're getting you to click on the links. And then I think they're pretty sure they're bringing you to WhatsApp, or they're fishing for your data from there. And if they get you in WhatsApp, they're going to tell you that the greatest analyst of all time to send them money. Or usually it's like, hey, send me crypto. Because then you'll never see it again. And so just don't fall for any of these. I see these a lot. I've seen these a lot over the last few days. Yeah, YouTube did a pretty good job of getting rid of this, though. Like, a lot of people are saying their views went down. I think it's a lot of it is they got rid of some of the bots. You still see this for sure. I mean, it's impossible to get rid of all of it, but I think yeah. It's not that they intentionally let them on, Tony. It's that it's impossible to stop like fully. Like you're not gonna be able to stop it fully. Look at the Nasdaq testing lows again. This is Nvidia, Tesla, falling down some. It's almost impossible to stop it. Like that's what you gotta understand. You know, you're not gonna be able to stop all of it. They're sending it from all these different places all at once. So. I gotta delete that one, Chris. I've seen noticeably less, Tony. Noticeably less. Yeah, Steve helped me earn $6,893.54 yesterday. You know. Oh, you know Steve too? He helped me earn $10,000 yesterday. Yeah. Yeah, apparently I'm AI. Alright guys, let's see what the opening bell brings. We got 4.5 minutes. 3.5 minutes. Amazon with a spike up here. I'm not respecting them, dude. They could find other ways to make money, you know? I'm never gonna respect people stealing, you know? Not in that way. Yeah, honestly, I've known a couple people that got by these scammers. They pretended to be some crypto expert. It's almost always like if it's a guy, they pretend to be some girl, you know, and they say, hey, you know, we're crypto experts, and they send them money, and then they're like, yeah, you're up 300% this week. And then they're like, oh, okay, let me withdraw my money. And they're like, hey, you got to pay taxes, 20,000. You got to send us 20K for taxes, you know? And then they say, oh, and they're so desperate. They're, you know, they're planning what they're going to buy with all their money. And they end up sending them more 20K, and then that's it. I mean, no offense, but I would never fall for this scam. But I know a couple people that have. Is there a world in which we pump off a PMI? I think ISM services data is pretty big. ISM services is not small data. It's a look at the economy, especially after last week's labor report. And so ISM services is going to be pretty important, I think. And that's in 30 minutes. Amazon's acting really volatile right now. Look at Nvidia and Tesla come down. Might be just be the market on open. Yeah, gold's ripping up. Look at that, it's at 34.25. It's technically red on the day, though. Gold's still red on the day. We got about a minute left, chat. All right, Tesla bouncing back, Nvidia bouncing back. Nvidia's not really bouncing back, but Tesla is. Market's coming back here. We got about 30 seconds left, chat. All right, 20 seconds. Hit the live button next to the play button. We'll see what the opening bell brings. Hey, feel better, Sam. Good luck, bro. Good day, man. All right, there's the bell. All right, look at Tesla rip, Nvidia fall at the opening bell. Nasdaq still coming down though. A lot of turns on the downside for a lot of different things. Look at this red at the open. Be careful, chat. Get down to 300. I'm going to buy one contract here. I got to trade with the trend though today, but Wells Fargo Investment Institute downgrades small cap equities to unfavorable from neutral. I'm out. I'm going to scalp that. I just got it out quick. I wanted to buy that 300 level and it got close to it, but I'm going to switch my funded account here. We're pretty green in our other one. So we're going to trade our other funded account. Look at 325 hold here. Look at those levels. Even if it pushes over this, the fact that it takes a pit stop here and respects it is good. Gold's still pumping up, almost green on the day. Yeah, I don't really trade in the first 4 minutes after the open, so if I take a trade then, I'm going to get in and out quick. I mean, we made like 20 something, dollars per contract very fast. So, I mean, if I make that much that quickly. Hey, look at Amazon, guys. We bought it this morning. When the market's going down, look at Amazon. We also bought UNH this morning. It's green as well here. We rejected at 325 too. Here's 300s. Might have already technically tested this, but top 3 line drawers for sure. What's the best book you've read on trading or investing? I like the Market Wizard series. I think if you're learning trading in book form ain't the move, unless you're learning psychologicals from like Mark Douglas or whatever. Did ASML ever bounce? I know we were talking about a bounce potential there for it. It did. Yeah. Up to almost 700s now. Look at that retracement. I'm going to buy this retracement here. A little early. We might add 1 to this. Green. Close to it. Good. There we go. Hold it flat or break even. 25 ticks. I want to give it a chance to bounce, but if it doesn't, you gotta just cut it quick. That's a struggle. I'm gonna cut that right there. So basically flat on that trade, which is not bad. Tesla's still breaking down is what this is. Nvidia's looking weak too. Tesla. Take a little piece of my Amazon position that I bought up. Or no, I'm gonna wait actually. That's it. Look at this low test. Microchips breaking down Nvidia. I mean, we have AMD earnings this evening. AMD's at 175. Oh, we have manufacturing PMI data today too, chat. So we do have manufacturing PMI data. I forgot. 10 o'clock. The base one's at 9:45, but it's not manufacturing. I'm sorry, it's services. Gold now technically green on the day. It's at 34.30s right now, 34.30s. Market's kind of choppy sideways though right now. All right, so we're sideways, but Amazon's still pushing up here. Rebounded everything. Good. Both UNH and Amazon positions are doing pretty solid this morning. Yeah, gold now green on the day here. Look at this. Pushing up. All-time highs on gold are way up here at 35. But it's making some moves. Yeah, we got ISM services data at 10 a.m. We got regular services at 9:45. Again, remember, we bought Amazon and UNH early this morning. Look at these. I'm gonna short this 350 level too. See if I'm gonna get mad about it. Just so strong here. Hold on. Took half off there. Small little scalp, but it looks kind of strong. Yeah, we're gonna have to cut it up there. It's okay. We'll look for the 200 exponential here, see if that bumps it back down. Man, Amazon, United Health, Nvidia, all rebounding big. Tesla. Oh, we wanted the 200 exponential. I just got in a little bit late. It's all right. We'll try to take some swings here. Certainly risky to trade against the trend, but I'll give it a second. All right, there we go. Back to almost green. Cut a piece of it there just to protect it. Nice. Half. Might add a piece more to this. There you go. A half. There. The rest there. At 200 exponential 360 level, we had a big support and resistance area right there. All right, guys, in about 5 minutes, we have the regular market economics services report. It's not as market moving as like the ISM services data. But it's expected at 55.2. ISM services 51.5 in 20 minutes. But this next one drops in 5. A Reuters polls for the Euro US dollar forecast to trade at 1.18 in 6 months. Wells Fargo again downgraded small cap equities to unfavorable. What do you think about Palantir price? I like Palantir as a company. And it's definitely on a momentum run right now. But I'm not really interested in adding more up here just because high valuation at this point in time. But I think it's got a lot of deals it's doing. We might hold at 350 here. Let's see. We also could be waiting for ISM services. Yo, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Thanks so much. Look, I gotta take a little bit off of Amazon up here. Just because. I'll wait. Yeah, Google's up. Well, it's not just Google. It's Google, Amazon, United Health. Google's flying back up. Amazon. Does it look like Apple's struggling? I mean, I think you have to understand Apple's a hardware company, not a software company. Right? Like, Apple's never really been a software company in that same way. Apple's a hardware company. It sells physical phones. It sells AirPods. It sells computers. It's a hardware company. Right? It's not like Google or Microsoft, which are purely software for the most part. I mean, Google has Android operating systems and everything, but they're mostly software companies. And so comparing Apple to software, it's not really a fair comparison. Apple's hardware. And so whether Apple gets involved with a really software backed thing like AI, I think people are still going to buy Apple, you know. Where can I watch ISM services live? Right here. Yeah, so ISM services at 10 is expected at 51.5. The 945 one's about to drop soon. No. Who? Alright, guys. Son's coming in trying to ask me to play video games. Alright, guys. We got about a minute left until regular services PMI at 945 drops. We'll see what that looks like. No, ISM services comes out at 10. We got the regular manufacturing or non-manufacturing or services PMI from Market Economics going live in about 50 seconds. It's not as market moving as like ISM services. All right, guys, here we go. About 30 seconds. Make sure you hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you subscribe. We appreciate it. Thanks so much. $20 seconds. 20 seconds. Put it in 2x speed. Hit the live button, and you'll be called up. All right, 5 seconds or so. 3, 2, 1, and here's the report. They're expected at 55.2. They just showed up at 55.7. Stronger services for July than expected at 55.7 versus 55.2 expected. S&P Global Services Composite PMI for July showed up at 55.1. So both of these showed stronger than expected. We might get a small uptick, but the big one is ISM services data at 10 a.m. chat. The 10 a.m. one's big. Gold's still green on the day, so there's a pop. Again, ISM services coming out at 10. Global PMI and services PMI from market economics showed stronger than expected for both of them. First one showed up at 55.7 for global services PMI. I'll put that number up in chat. And then the 10 a.m. one's the big one. And then we also had S&P Global Composite PMI, both stronger than expected. Both of those numbers are in chat right now. This is why you pay attention to the data. Subscribe to the channel, chat. We do this live every single day right here. We don't sell a course, don't sell a service, don't even claim to be good traders, but we cover data as soon as it happens, and you can watch the market response live right here with us. Yeah. Amazon testing highs of the day again. Apple's starting to rebound back up, so we are seeing some strength here. Here's Apple, just went green on the day again at 203.50. We expect gold to pump with a strong economy. Maybe. Gold's been following the market for the most part. But it's not always a perfect science watching gold. It could go up, it could go down from this. Again, this report, the one at 9:45 2 minutes ago, was small. The ISM one's larger, and it will probably have more of an influence over markets. Apple up, Nvidia testing. Yeah, I had one of those Z Fold phones, but honestly, it was too expensive. Even like I'm not bragging, I make plenty of money, right? Like I could afford a $1,500 phone if I wanted to. I just don't see much difference when I use a $300 phone versus a $1,500 phone. There's not enough of a difference to make me want to buy a $1,500 phone, you know? I don't really write my phones off either, though, for business purposes. I know I could, but the tax savings isn't worth the hassle for it. Separating it, calculating the percentage I use it. I would rather just make it personal. I don't use my phone enough for business anyway. If I could write my phone off, I'd probably buy a more expensive one. It would reduce my taxable income as well as, you know, I could get a cool phone, but I don't use my phone enough for business. Now, a computer's different. I'll buy a super nice computer, and I have, you know. At the end of last year, I bought 2 travel laptops. This computer's brand new. I bought it like 2 or 3 months ago. Because I can write it off completely, because I use this computer for nothing but business. And so that's different. I'm kind of a hardware nerd in that regard, but phones are different. Anyways, NASDAQ's still pushing up. Look at that 23.4 level rejecting here. Almost exactly 23.4. Gold bouncing off the previous closing price, staying green. And again, we got about 9 minutes left. What business do you have? The business you're watching right now. You think I'm sitting here out of the kindness of my heart, sir? I just like helping people. I just like teaching, guys. You know? Total nonsense. I'm here to make money. Of course I am. Everybody else on YouTube is too, regardless of what they tell you. I'm going to turn that into a t-shirt. All right, guys, NASDAQ's rejecting. Let's watch the 200 exponential 360 level right here. 360 and the 200 exponential on a 1-minute chart sitting right around the same spot. John the Kind, you know. Yeah, I joke around with my daughter. When my daughter started watching Game of Thrones, I told her Joffrey does a complete 180. They call him Joffrey the Kind, Joffrey the Gentle. All right, so we're pulling back. We're at 370s now. Again, I'm watching 360. See if we get a bounce. We could have chop. ISM services might move markets in about 9 minutes, so we'll see what we get. But I thought you liked us. Listen, y'all are my internet friends. But I'm here to make money, of course. I'm not getting up at the crack of dawn in Texas because I just like helping people. You know, nobody is. Anybody that claims to is trying to sell you something. And I'm not saying I'm not trying to sell you something. Maybe I'm trying to sell you on me not selling you anything, you know. But the point is, you got people selling courses on how to day trade that don't day trade and just say they like teaching. Nonsense. All right, so there's a rebound. Where do we bounce? We bounced right there. 360. Right around 360. I think it's like 361, but close enough. Would you get up at the crack of dawn if it was LA? Probably not. All right, guys. Kind of slowing down a little bit. We had this big rebound, and now we're kind of sideways. United Health's breaking highs of the day, though. Oh, those might have been the two best stocks I could buy this morning. I bought United Health and Amazon early this morning. You love to see it. Both of them are breaking highs of the day right now. United Health is up. My average price on UNH, I bought it this morning at about 240. It's at 244 right now, so I'm up a couple percent already. We'll see if we get more. But all right, so again, we're kind of pulling back to this 360 level in the NQ. Yeah, VRTX had earnings yesterday. They got beat up. All right, still rebounding back up. United Health did break highs of the day. Amazon's testing highs of the day again as well. Yeah, PMI data drops in 6 minutes. It's the Purchasing Managers Index. What it really shows is expansion or contraction in the services sector. And so above 50 means an expansion in services. Below 50 means a contraction in services. Today they are expecting 51.5, so a slight expansion in the services sector. But if this data comes in negative or positive, more than expected, of course, then we could see some movement here just because ISM services can move markets and can have an influence over things. It drops in 6 minutes. We'll see what happens. And so we did bounce right here at 360. Amazon broke highs of the day again. Did you go see Kansas, Chris? I know Kansas was playing along with, who sings it? I'm so caught up in you, little girl. I can't think of the name of them right now, but I know those two played sometime. I would have gone to it if I would have known they were playing, but honestly, I've traveled so much this summer, dude. I'm lazy right now. Oh, Weird Al. All right, guys. So again, we got 4 minutes left. 4 minutes. Yeah, that's right, Rocky. That's who it was. 38. All right, guys. So again, we're kind of consolidating between the 363 and 360 level and 400 level here. We got the ISM services data dropping in less than 4 minutes. Hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. I appreciate it. Right now, we're just kind of waiting for this data to come out. We had some big news earlier. The president spoke, talking about a lot of stuff. President touted 2 potential Kevins as the next FOMC chair. Said he's not going to run again. Yeah, but thinking about it, isn't he not allowed to run again anyway? Because he already had 1 term. So he can't run again anyway. What is he talking about? Is that right? All right, guys, now we're pulling back. Here's 360s. We got less than 3 minutes. Where's Hims at this morning? They had earnings yesterday. They reacted pretty negatively on bad outlook, but they're looks like they filled about 60 to 70% of the gap already. Yeah. All right, gold went red for the day, starting to go green. Where's the VIX at this morning? The VIX is a little bit lower. Yeah, VIX is still over 15 though, so it's not like VIX is too low. It's at 1750s. Close enough to 20. All right, guys, we got less than 2 minutes. Again, bouncing at that 200 exponential level right here. Less than 2 minutes. VIX just went up though, so again, I'm not going to take any trades right now. We got 1.5 minutes left. Can you short the VIX directly? All right, guys, here we go. 1 minute. Again, ISM services expected at 51.5. Some might call this 51.50. We'll see what happens. Again, 51.5 for ISM services for July. Over 50 shows a expanding services sector. Below 50 shows a contracting services sector. We'll see what it shows. We got 30 seconds. Hit the live button next to the play button. You can put it in 2x speed as well. Yeah, I know there was like TVIX, UVXY, a couple ones that I remember. I haven't played them in a long time though. All right, guys, we got 22 seconds left. Yeah, I day trade. I traded a couple times today. I'm green mostly. All right, here's the data release. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and here's the ISM services PMI. Again, it showed 50.5 or 50.1. Or no, yeah, 50.1 versus 51.5. 50.1 versus 50.5. Weaker than expected. Look at that gap down. I told you services might move things. Again, 50.1 versus 51 expected. That's bad. Not good. Honestly, the Nasdaq's kind of rebounding back up, but look at that drop here, guys. I'm telling you, VIX just popped up green on the day. Gold spiked on this report. Again, 50.1 versus 50.1.5 expected. Way weaker than expected. Yeah, that ain't good. 50.5 versus 51. Previous was 50.8, so we showed up lower than last time and lower than expected here. Although we did just retrace a significant amount. Here's the data on chat, as well as I'll put it up in the main. Like, there's the data scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Look at that drop. But noticeably weaker than expected. And again, if you haven't already, give me a follow at Beginner Trades on X.com. Check out Top Step if you want to day trade with me. We are green on the day. Look at the NASDAQ breakdown, and you can day trade the NASDAQ, S&P, Dow, Russell, gold, some currencies. No PDT rule in futures. You can day trade very similar to day trading stocks. Get you around the PDT rule. You can get started for $50 a month for the base one. If you pass it, you get a 50K funded account, 90% split. And prior to that split kicking in, you get to keep your first 10K in profit. It's the single best way to learn day trading. Take some risk, learn how to manage risk without having to fund thousands of dollars and probably lose it in your own account. They're a sponsor of mine. I am biased because I get paid by them. But top 3 worst trader of all time. Don't copy me. I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose. Always make your own assessment. Trade smart. I can't guarantee anything. With that said, though, I'm here. I'm just here out of the kindness of my heart, guys. Listen, I just like helping people. All right. Look, the NASDAQ is rebounding a little bit from ISM services. Apple's actually going a little green on the day. United Health actually testing highs of the day as well. And you can see the data release right here at the bottom in yellow over there in the bottom. We showed weaker than expected. Basically a flat services sector. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Yeah, prices went up too. So if you look at ISM prices, they showed up at 69.9 versus 67.5 last time. So prices rose as well. Services was weaker than expected and prices rose. Look at gold. Gold's now red on the day again. I would say I have a lot of sarcasm. I'm very sarcastic. I'd rather ironically tell you guys I'm the greatest top 3 all-time trader, investor, analyst in the world, but not be actually serious. I set the bar low. United Health just broke highs. You love to see it. Amazon pulling back a little bit though. Good for rate cuts, kind of. Prices are up, but it does show a weaker services sector, so to a certain extent, yes. You can take a look at yields if you want to see the net effect of like this in terms of rates. Anytime you want to see the net effect on yields or rates, put up TNX here. TNX originally decreased from this report, but is actually slightly elevated probably from the higher prices. You got to understand yields and interest rates follow each other. So yields and interest rates follow each other. And so if something shows a lower interest rate sentiment, yields will go down. Right? If something shows a higher interest rate sentiment, and this is 10-year yields right here, you can also see it in bonds. So bonds and yields have an inverse sentiment. So TLT, a little bit flat here, but the net effect is kind of neutral. Like, we're not really moving. None of this stuff is really significantly moving yields or bond prices in any significant way. You can see bond prices, 10 a.m. is here, and we're here. We're basically flat. We haven't really moved. And this is 20-year plus bonds. But the NASDAQ is going down. And then if we take a look at like actual yields, let me see if it lets me zoom in. Let me zoom in. No. Again, here's yields. Put a one-day chart up. They're kind of flat from this report. They're actually down a little bit. So here's 10 a.m. and then here's yields. So they're actually down a little bit. So slightly lower interest rate sentiment with weaker services data, but it's not significant. PMI data came in lower than expected, weaker than expected for the services sector. It dropped the NASDAQ down here. NASDAQ's now down at 320s. So weaker services than expected for July. In big yellow letters. It's literally in big yellow letters. Wait, there you go. Right here. Right below me in this general area. The weatherman it really quick. Look in this area. ISM services 50.1 versus 51.5. Expected. With that said though, guys, again, I'm going to get out of here. Y'all be good. Have a great day. We'll see you guys later. AMD earnings later. Supermicro Semiconductor earnings later. Y'all be good. Have a great day. See you guys later. Have a safe day. Trade smart. Not an investment professional. Don't copy me. Not liable if you lose money. Always make your own assessment. Trade smart. Good luck. I just like helping people.